In this week's Blizzard news, we talk about a WoW pet raising millions of dollars for the Red Cross, updates to WoW's patch notes for 5.2 PTR, the current calm before the Swarm in StarCraft 2 esports, and Jay Wilson is leaving the Diablo team, and what does that mean? Hey there, Blizz Planeteers. Captain Blizz Planet here. Okay, that was a bad joke. Anyway, it's Eldorian filling in for Chris this week because he's sick with that flu thing. So we have a short episode today, and because of this, and because I suck at doing these myself, let's just get right in the World of Warcraft news.
Here's the beef.
So World of Warcraft players around the world who purchased a Cinder Kitten pet has helped raise a total of more than $2.3 million that will support the American Red Cross in their ongoing Superstorm Sandy relief efforts. Back in December, Blizzard announced that 100% of the money from the Cinder Kitten sales would go directly to this cause, and last week CEO and co-founder Mike Morhaime and the rest of the World of Warcraft production team presented a check to the American Red Cross. Now, I think this is really cool, and I love it when Blizzard does things like this. Also, thanks to all the fans who are out there who spent the $10 to get a cool pet in-game, that would also go to a great cause. Patch 5.2 has been out on the PTR now for a bit, and earlier this week we had some updates to the patch notes. Now, some of the bigger things include players now being able to teleport to the Isle of the Thunder King at the Shadowpan Garrison in Townlong Steppes. Heroic Pandaria dungeon bosses will now award 100 justice points per kill, and scenarios will now award 50 justice points instead of 25. Now, transmog rules have been broadened so that two-handed axes, maces, and swords can be transmogged into each other, and the same goes for the one-handed weapons, and as well as staves and polearms, being able to, you'll be able to transmog a polearm into a staff, and so on and so forth. Now, the cost of Valor Point gear, the ones that were introduced in 5.0, is being reduced by 50%, and the cost of those that were introduced in 5.1 are being reduced by 25%. Now, one of the bigger and more controversial changes, though, is that the ethereals introduced in patch 5.1 that allowed you to upgrade your weapons and armor for Valor and Justice points are going away in patch 5.2. They may yet return in a future patch, but that really isn't certain. It seems to me that Blizzard isn't really overly happy with the system, and even Ghostcrawler was saying that it left the players with too many tough decisions on whether to use those points for the new gear or for upgrading their current gear. With the new raid tier, it really doesn't make much sense to keep them around in this next patch. There are hints we might be able to see them again in patch 5.3 when there won't be a raid tier increase.
You want a piece of me, boy?
Now, if there was any time that would feel like an off-season for esports, it would be right now. The calm before the Swarm, as Mike Morhaime put it on Twitter. Right now, there are tournaments going on like the Intel Extreme Master 7 tournament. It's currently happening in Spodek in Katowice, Poland, with a total package of $29,000, with the first place being around $6,500. With that said, though, keep your eyes locked in mid to late March. MLG Winter Championship will open in Dallas, Texas on St. Patrick's Day weekend, and will be one of the first major tournaments using Heart of the Swarm. Also late March will be the IGN Pro League 6 taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this tournament looks like it's going to be the last final hurrah for Wings of Liberty. Alright, let's talk about Diablo 3.
Stay a while and listen.
Patch 1.0.7 has hit the PTR, and who's playing? This is a fairly large patch that brings in, some new changes to monks and wizards. There's some new crafting additions, some monster power changes, but the change everyone is looking for, PvP, has finally hit Diablo 3 in the form of dueling. Now, the interesting thing about dueling in Diablo 3 is it will happen in another map, and, things like your hardcore characters will be able to duel without the fear of dying for good. Now, Blizzard stated a long time ago that this is just giving the players what they've been clamoring for, and they have no intention balancing this PvP. With that said, the obvious has already happened, and I've seen players complain that X class is overpowered, is one-shotting them. I guess you can't please everybody. The major news, though, is that Jay Wilson announced yesterday that he is stepping away from his game director role on the Diablo 3 team and is moving to another position within Blizzard, working on something else. Now, Jay posted in the Diablo official forums that after 7 years of working on Diablo 3, that this wasn't an easy decision for him, but ultimately one that he feels is right. He goes on to assure the fans that this will not negatively affect Diablo 3 or Blizzard's support of Diablo 3, as the game was not made by one person and the team as a whole isn't going anywhere. Now, to be honest, this decision didn't really come as a surprise to many people, including myself. Diablo 3 certainly did not meet player expectations when it was first released and had a very rocky release at that. Blizzard has made good on making the game better over the last several months, but the poison is still out there in the community, and in fact, anytime we even post Diablo news, the trolls do certainly come out of the woodwork. Jay Wilson, being the head of that project, certainly got a lot of blame. Some of it maybe deserved, some of it certainly not. But I think it was his PR disaster on Facebook with the "fuck that loser" statement that probably sealed the deal for fans and tainted the franchise because of it. Now, with some fresh blood coming in and working on the new expansion, and with the current improvements on the game and the improvements that are still being worked on, this could start righting the ship for them from a PR standpoint, at least, and maybe we can all sit back and enjoy Diablo 3 instead of bickering about it. As for where Jay Wilson is moving to within Blizzard, he didn't say. Most people are speculating that he's moving on to the Titan team for the next generation MMO, but I think there's a good chance he could be moving to the StarCraft 2 Blizzard All-Stars team, as before his Diablo days, he had a strong RTS background. Either way, I'm curious on your guys' opinion of Diablo 3 with Jay Wilson now leaving the helm. Do you agree with my thoughts, or do you have your own? Let us know in the comments below. Next week, hopefully Chris will be back and we don't have to hear me talk anymore, and you can instead just enjoy watching me play with stuffed animals with the horse mask on. And we'll see you guys next week.